Hey friends, I hope you're having a lovely day. Jennibellie's challenge this month over at journalworkshops.ning.com was signage, and she challenged us to make a sign for our studio space, which I thought was a wonderful challenge. I'm super lucky in the summertime, and any time that it's warm here, I get to work in my sunroom studio. But when wintertime rolls around, I go upstairs and I work from a spare bedroom, and that's my office space and my studio space, and I call it the Tower Bower up there because it's upstairs, you know, kind of makes me think of being in a tower. Plus, when it's cold, I'm just not real happy, so, you know, it's like being in the Tower of London or something like that. But anyway, I made a sign today for my Tower Bower studio, and now I thought it would be really inspiring if I made a sign like this for my sunroom studio. Not to just use in my sunroom studio, but to use upstairs to encourage me during that really, you know, the cold winter months that summer really is on its way. Both of my spaces are not climate controlled, so being upstairs when it's really cold is just not a lot of fun. So I thought a sign would just cheer me up significantly, and I'm doing a couple things different than the way that Jenny did hers. Basically, just because my you know, my hands are a little bit older than Jenny's, a lot older than Jenny's. And I can't cut corrugated cardboard very well. So I'm working with an 8x6 piece of foam board. And of course, somebody gave me a bunch of foam board that they had used, I think, at a car show, I think was where this was used. So I'm making good use of the stuff that I have around my house. This is an 8x6 piece, and I will kind of show you my take on what Jenny's September challenge is over at journalworkshops.ning.com. Thanks for watching, y'all. The first thing I'm going to do is trace around my foam board, and I of course am using a cereal box to do this. Jenny uses some corrugated cardboard for this part of her challenge this month, but we're just going to use some foam board because honestly it's just easy to cut. Alright, so we trace around the foam board. I'm using an 8x6 piece, but you can use whatever size you want. And then this is going to be the frame for our sign. So the first thing I want to do is just add a little bit. I'm going to add some wiggles right here. Like I said, you can do this any way you want. Okay, and now I think what I'm going to do is kind of start here. Kind of make some wiggles down here. This reminds me of a fairy, you know, like a fairy frame in the, you know, in the storytelling books, or fantasy books, or whatever you want to call them, you know, kind of Cinderella-ish, or fairy godmother-ish, or something like that. I think I should have brought this line in a little more. Uh-oh, and there goes our sun. We have survived another day. Alright. Okay, so you can kind of see where we're going with that. Now I'm going to cut this out, and I will join you in just a minute. Okay guys, I have my frame cut, and I kind of messed up right here, but that's okay. I'm gonna try and center it on there. I have my frame cut. The next thing I'm going to do is to trace around again this 8x6 piece of foam board and cut that out, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Alright guys, this is the piece of 8x6 that I just cut out of the cardboard of the cereal box. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto the foam board. I'm going to glue this piece onto the foam board, and that will be the inside of our our signage. And I'm using a glue stick, and I'm gonna use a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue to glue this down. Jenny has a great glue technique, so mine's not so great, but hers is using like a double stick tape, and then I think she uses a glue stick, and then she uses some tacky glue on top of that to really make a great adhesive seal there. Okay, so I've got that there, and that's just on the foam board. Jenny puts a piece of cardboard back up, piece of cereal box back here too, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave mine like this. Like I said, I'm trying to cut down on any kind of cutting. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a few foam pieces on the back of our frame, and the reason we're going to do that is just to give the frame a little bit of depth. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use a glue stick, and then I use a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue, or whatever kind of glue you have. I got the Michaels brand of glue, and really it works just fine. I only bought it because they had it reduced. It was like 77 cents for this giant bottle, and I've had really good results with it. I was kind of happy with it. Okay, so we're going to put this here and put another piece over here. Jenny also talks about, it was so cool, you got to go to journal workshops and register and check out this particular video, because she says that a sign makes things official, and a sign makes you know that you're in your creative space. And I love that. I love the notion that a sign does make it official, doesn't it? I mean, we think about all the things that have signs, and signs pointing to here and there and all that stuff. And I mean, a sign is a very important thing to have, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer or an artist or a mom, most important job in the whole wide world. Then it's very cool to just have a sign and have your name on a sign. It's a nice thing. All right, I'm going to snip this off just a little bit. Push this one over. We'll go back and trim this up. So don't be overly concerned about your overhang, because we're going to chop that off. All right, we've got one more piece. A little bit of glue stick. And a little bit of glue. And there we go. Alright guys, I'm going to let that dry for just a few minutes, and then I will be right back. Okay guys, I let my frame dry, and it's still, still just a little bit tacky, but I thought I would show you. I'm using an X-Acto knife to trim around some of the edges that are kind of peeking through, and I'm trying to save my hands, and the foam board kind of allows you to use something like an X-Acto knife. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all, an X-Acto knife, and that is really helpful. Of course, this is a sharp object, and you know how that goes. Oh, I hope I don't cut myself. Okay. There we go. Alright. Okay. Now, I have a little bit hanging out right here. Snip that off. There we go. Alright. Now, we're ready to glue the frame onto the 8x6 board. This is the cereal box 8x6 that we put on the foam board. So we're ready to go ahead and frame this up. If you're not quite sure about the arrangement of what you want to do, it's better to put the frame on first and then decide where you want the lettering. But because I had already done this one, I kind of knew where things needed to go. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue on my frame, in the back of my frame, and then glue it on top here. And this just gives it some, gives it some nice dimension. All right, glue this on top of here, just like this. I can so see this in a child's room, you know, maybe as a nameplate for a child's store. You know, you can do whatever shape you might like to do. And I love that it's a recycle craft. Jenny is so cognizant of recycling, and she was really the first person that I even watched a video, you know, her instructional videos. And boy, after the first one, I was like hooked forever. All right, guys, I'm going to let that dry for just a few minutes, and then I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Everything has dried, and I'm ready to do the next step in this process. Uh-oh, I just realized that I did not glue these little embellishments down, so I'll do that real quick. Just glue these down. I love this. It reminds me of the 60s, you know, kind of the space age generation. These are just pieces of grunge board. Tim Holtz grunge board that a friend of mine gave me a whole bunch of that stuff. Man, I like it. It is really neat. Okay, so let's get those things glued down. All right. This next step was just a tiny bit confusing for me, and it wasn't so much confusing as I kept punching holes in the in the, you know, the raised and lowered portions of the piece. So I'm going to try and be a little more careful this time and see if things don't turn out just a little bit better. So I've got a little bit of PVA glue, which is just Elmer's glue or Eileen's or whatever you want to use, and we cover the piece. I'm having to do this rather quickly so it doesn't dry. I'm in my sunroom studio tonight, and I do have my ceiling fan on, which makes things sometimes dry out a little before I would like them to. But boy, it's nice to have such a balmy, warm night in September. That is a huge blessing. All right, so now we have our piece covered. Now here's where the really kind of sticky part was the last time that I tried to do this. I don't have a whole piece of tissue paper, so I'm just going to have to use a couple of pieces, which, you know, that's okay. All right, so I think I'll do this one right here. I think, y'all, when I tried this the first time, I did not crumple my tissue paper. And I almost think that the tissue paper, because it's, shoot, I tore it again, that because it's fitting in like little nooks and crannies of this piece, that it almost really does have to be crumpled up. It just seems to work better like that. So I've crumpled my, I did crumple my tissue paper. Okay. All right, now, boy, I hope that does not leave a line, but it might. Maybe we should just push this over just a tiny bit, and then that way it's not on the text right there that says Sunroom Studio. I could even push it over just a tiny bit more. All right. You're using the PVA glue now to go over the top of everything. And you can see how it just looks so neat. Jenny's always got a good idea. She's always got a good idea. Alright, now I'm going to just kind of push this in the corners, and then that kind of left that with nothing, but oh well. Really trying so hard not to tear it. Okay. Alright. Let's let this dry. Well, you know what? I don't have to let it dry anymore because I have a heat tool. Woo! I have a heat tool. For the first time in my crafting career, I have a heat tool. One of my wonderful patrons blessed me with a heat tool, and I'm so excited. But when I use this heat tool, I do have to turn off the light. So I'm going to draw this, and then I'll be back. Okay, I finished the frame using the process of some PVA glue mixed with water over the entire piece. I tucked things in the back and you know, kind of, I tucked everything in, and the piece is actually pretty sturdy, and when it dries, you just won't believe how really sturdy this really is. Alright, Jenny covers hers with gesso. I am kind of low on the gesso, so I won't be doing that. I have some paint that has dried, and I want to, I'm just trying to get every little scrappy bit out of my bottles. So I'm using some kind of dried up white and off-white paint. And we cover this whole thing. You use gesso if you want to. I did white paint on the first one I made, and it worked. It worked just fine. I also am kind of liking the yellow here in the middle, so I may not even paint like a whole layer over that yellow because I kind of think it looks nice. Alright. You can see what's happening here. This is it looks like a paper, like something paper mache. Terracotta-ish almost. I'm not going to put the paint on really thick. I kind of like the way it looks like that. We are going to paint over this when it dries. Okay, I'm liking that. I am liking that. Alright folks, another drawing session with my heat tool. I have a heat tool. Did I tell you I had a heat tool? Thank you, wonderful patron. I really do appreciate it so much. Excited. Alright. Alright, I'm ready to finish up my little piece by giving her some color. I think that for the middle, I am going to kind of stick with this yellow. I'll stick with the yellow for the middle. The sign will remind me that even though when it's upstairs and I'm in the middle of winter, that summer will be coming. So it's going to really help me stay a little bit cheered up over the winter months. I get kind of blue during the winter. Well, I don't get kind of blue. I get really blue. It gets dreadful cold here, so, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. But you really do have to appreciate the seasons. I think it's important to appreciate every season. So I will try harder this year to appreciate winter. It is quite beautiful because when you think about it, especially when it snows, it's really pretty when it snows. Kind of makes the world such a peaceful place. Alright, I've got that on there. I think for the frame, I think I'll go for pink for the frame. See how that looks. Make a neon hot pink. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, really, can't you see this for a child's room, a little girl's room? You know, with her name right there. Really makes me want to make one for my nieces. They're not children anymore, but I just think it's really precious. It's kind of magical and fairy tale-ish and whimsical and all those fun things that we tend to lose touch with when we get older. Sometimes we don't remember things like that. Okay, y'all. It's very pretty like that. I'm not going to make you sit through me finishing this up. I'm just going to go ahead and let the camera go, and we'll be finishing up, and I'll join you in a few. I am all done with my little sign for my sunroom studio. The only thing that I was not happy with, y'all, were these two grunge board elements that I used. They just did not show up when I was trying to paint and finish these. I even kind of tried to use a little bit of bronze and bring them out, but that didn't work very well either. So I'm just gonna cover those over with a flower because that's appropriate for a sunroom. So I've got a little, this is a corduroy flower that I got from upstairs. And this is a gypsy flower that I made a la Shannon green. And I'm out of these, so I need to plan a day so I can make some more gypsy flowers. So there we go, Jennibellie September Challenge. This is my sunroom studio sign. And this is my Tower Bower sign. And I hope that you guys will try this. It's just, every time Jenny does a challenge, it's totally worth it to try and do that challenge, because you just learn so much from doing things like this. So thank you, Jenny, over at journalworkshops.ning.com, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.